Hello, I am making this video again. Well, this is the third attempt, and I have, um, yeah, I need to make this video again. So, I just woke up, I just got out of bed, had a very long sleep. I wasn't even planning to go to sleep, I fell asleep, and I slept for I don't know, I probably slept like 10 hours or something. So yeah, I'm awake now. It's almost 4 in the morning, and I'm having my can of Red Bull and my cigarette. It's very hot weather here at the moment. It's been like 31, 32 degrees Celsius. So the house is getting a bit warm. Yeah. Anyway. See, I made the first video, and I made that. It was a 3 hour long video, and um I definitely needed to remake it. And then the second video, I was asking Archangel Michael, what do we need to talk about? And so this is my third attempt, using that information to to simplify the video. Okay, so what do I want to talk about? Well, I'm God, and well, what Archangel Michael was pointing out to me again, this is something I've spoken about before, and it's not something I enjoy talking about because I'm very bored of talking about it. And so it has to do with sex, specifically anal, so sodomy, anal sex, and BDSM. Because the problem with that is it's sex magic, it's binding magic, and it's death magic against me, God. There's lots of ways I can explain why that is and how that works. But essentially, what it is, it's attacking me, God. If you're familiar with the Bible, most Christians know that. Well, most Christians should know that, the idea of sodomy and BDSM is considered sinful. It's not permitted. So yeah, what more, so, the problem is obviously we're living in a time where people are addicted to these things. They want these things, they lust after these things. And so really, we're the situation we're in is, well, do you choose to love God, or do you choose to follow your desires, and your lusts? Would you rather die in your lusts, or would you rather live? Which one do you prefer? That's the question. What do you want? I think quite a lot of people, they will choose to die in their lusts. Um, Maybe, to them, yeah, but they think, yeah. The thing is that um, there are things that belong to me, God, right? There are things that are mine, and people want to, they mimic me, they copy me, and people, what they do is they do death magic against me, and they try to make me irrelevant. They try to make me invisible using magic. And so, it's this battle. There's this great battle, magic battle that's always happening. And I am trying to exist with a bunch of people who would rather see me dead. So, that's the situation. And you either accept it for what it is or you don't. Um, why are, I mean, this is the thing, people are consumed by their desires to, they want manifestation power, but, they don't think about the consequences of their actions. Why is it they're so drawn to doing a certain thing? Why are you so drawn to doing something? Is it, the other good intentions behind that, or there bad intentions behind that? Um, so yeah. So now that I've said that, um, yeah. So this is something that I mean, maybe I'll give you an example. What's the second coming? Yeah, what's the second coming? What does that mean? Um, you could think about that in many different ways, right? In terms of sex, or maybe the second coming of Jesus, or are we talking about time? Timey time. The thing is, people keep using death magic against me, and they keep trying to, um, they keep trying to bind me. And people do BDSM because, it's a binding ritual. And then there's the letting go at the end of it, right? Usually. Um, and, we live in a world that has a problem with sex trafficking as well. Why do you think these things are such a problem? And, when people talk about tarot, they'll talk about the devil card, and they'll say, oh, look, there's two people, they've got chains around their necks. But if they wanted to, they could just lift those chains over their heads and they could walk away. And when it's the Eight of Swords card, it's like, well, yeah, she's bound. She's trapped. She's feeling trapped. That person's feeling trapped. Oh, yeah. He or she has to do is, rub against one of those swords and you're free. You can walk straight out the door. I mean, do you understand how psychopathic that sounds? Do you understand how psychopathic that sounds when people talk like that? When you know full well that there are people who are imprisoned or trapped or bound and they can't escape, and you want to talk about who you want to fuck at the weekend, or how much money you're going to make in your next job, or this or that or whatever. You act like spirit wants to talk about your stupid life, or someone else's stupid life, or what does spirit really want to talk about? you know what do we want to, what do we really want to resolve? The problems in the world, I think, is what we want to resolve, right? That's what we really want to do. But people seem to just have they're only interested in their own selfish desires. That's the problem. um where's the card in the tarot deck that says, oh yeah, you're imprisoned and you can't escape? I mean, think about it. There's the death card. So people say, oh, well, that's transformation. Well, the only reason the death card is considered transformation is that when you're presented with the idea of death, a lot of people, when they're confronted with a situation where it's like you're going to die, and you're like, oh, right, so what I'll do, I'll change course so I don't die. You understand? So that's how it becomes transformation, really. I mean, I guess that's how death is really linked or connected with the idea of transformation. Um, or you could just say, it's the death of your old personality or something like that. But, I suppose you could look at it in as an extension of, yeah. Anyways, um, or, people talk about the judgment card, or, how people interpret these cards. People are just constantly trying to talk their way out of things. Um, it's like, I'm God, I'm God. Judgment is happening on the world. The world is being judged. And people want to, try to talk their way out of it all the time. It's really, it's not going to lie. That people who keep trying to escape judgment. Well, um, it's just, I mean, what do you want me to say? What do I have to say? I mean, it should be simple to understand, really, shouldn't it? Anyway, um, so yeah, I wanted to talk about Paul. That's an interesting name, Paul, isn't it? Yeah. Um, do you know what it means to be poorly? So, if someone is unwell, they that word is used. It can be used. Someone might say, "Oh, I'm feeling a bit poorly today," which means they're feeling ill. They're not feeling, maybe they got a stomach bug, or a bad cough, or maybe got diarrhea, or diarrhea or something. I don't know. So, someone calls up to work. "I'm feeling a bit poorly today. Sorry, I can't come in." I don't know if that's a British expression. Yeah, I think it's a British expression. I think, but I don't know. Anyway, okay. Apparently it is. Okay. Um. So yeah, I mean, what was happening? So with Paul, and obviously I'm talking about Paul from Dove and Serpent Tarot. I for a while, so I thought things were going well. I was, I was being breadcrumbed. But at the time, I was like, okay, look, we're moving. We got the ball rolling at least. There's this ball rolling. Things could be good. Things could be going in the right direction. And, like, you know, I'm God and I've found apparently St. Paul on the internet. Yeah, the St. Paul who's talked about in the New Testament. Yeah, the guy who wrote 2/3 of the New Testament. Um, well, yeah, I suppose. I mean, obviously, yeah. I mean, well, depending how you look at it, what do you call the New Testament? Do you know what I mean? You know, what do you say is the end line of the New Testament? But people, they say, oh well, Paul, he wrote 2/3 of the New Testament, because obviously, if you go pick up a Bible and you look at the New Testament area of the book, 2/3 of it was written by Saint Paul, or Paul, right? Saul, Paul, yeah, that guy, the guy who was a Pharisee, yeah, a Pharisee, yeah, a Pharisee. Um, yeah. So yeah, that's the thing. Paul, he did a lot. He suffered a lot. Um, and here we are now. It's like, well, Paul's decided he doesn't really like Jesus. He doesn't really like. Do you know what I mean? It's. You know what I mean? It's this is the situation. It's like, well, what do we do now? What do we do now then? Could we try to mend the broken relationship, perhaps? Um, could we, obviously we have to start somewhere, and, where we end up, we'll see where it goes. Um, but obviously, I was being breadcrumbed, and obviously there are a lot of videos to watch through and listen to, and there's lots of dialogue, and there's, obviously there's different messages and different videos, and it's like, well, and then when I went back 2 weeks and looked at a video. I think it was a Gemini video, and it was talking about, the anchor in the boat. Basically, it's basically saying, oh, I'm the anchor, I'm good, well, I'm the anchor, and I'm the one creating a load of trouble for people. So, let's not ignore the anchor. Let's just lift the anchor into the boat, and you know and then it won't be a problem, sort of thing. Or, and this is so. And there was another video, someone else, from some other tarot reader, suggesting that I had been breadcrumbed, and that's basically how that's how I've been feeling. It's like, well, yeah, um, I've been doing this for a long time, and I know, I'm very aware that I have to be patient, because if I'm impatient, and um, because that's the thing, people are constantly trying to deceive me, um, and breadcrumb me, and try to lead me down. They try to confuse me with nonsense. Um, so yeah. So yeah, I'm just thinking about, well, what can we talk about? Um, I, okay, so Linda from Linda Likes Tarot. Okay, so what is she? Who is she? And well, she's a tarot reader doing divination, um, witchcraft. What's her website? Occult Lifestyle. So she claims to have a relationship with God, with spirit, with Jesus Christ. She pretends like she's a Christian, or that, that, and but what does she do with her life? How would, you should, you know people, what should I, I'm going, what am I supposed to think about her? She attacks me with magic. I feel like I've been battling with magic. I've been battling her magic for years. Um, I've been focused on her and what she's been posting on YouTube for a number of years. Um, and I've actually focused on her a lot. I've posted a lot of her videos over the years. Um, so I just that's the thing. She reads the cards. She that's the thing, right? She wants to do these love readings, and then she and then she doesn't like the readings that she gets. She doesn't like what spirit is telling her. Um, she doesn't like what she sees on the cards a lot of the time. She rejects me. It's that simple. She rejects me. So, what do I have to do? I'm God, right? If someone rejects me, well, what am I supposed to do? If I look at someone, they reject me, and all they want to do is hit me with bad magic. They're doing death magic against me, sex magic, death magic, binding magic. Magic that's trying to keep me irrelevant, is trying to keep me trapped, is trying to kill me off. And I've got to try to deal with that all the time. I've got to try to survive all this nasty magic people keep doing against me. And while they mock me and insult me and lie about me, I've got to survive that. I've got to deal. I've got to. I've got to. I've got to deal. I've got to. Yeah, I've got to. I have to battle with it all the time. What more can I say? You know what Jesus said to people? He said, "Lay up for your, lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven." Yeah, yeah. And instead, people, what do they want? They want their treasures on earth. Don't they? They want to, and they want to use magic to try to steal what is mine. They're always using magic to try to take what is mine, whether it's my wheel of fortune or it's my I mean, that's the thing. What does X mean? Obviously, the wheel of fortune is associated with X. What does X mean? You got all these people who fornicate, yeah. Ex-girlfriend, ex-boyfriend, ex this, ex that, ex-friend, ex this, ex that, ex-colleague, ex-co-worker, ex-boss, ex this, ex that, Twitter X. X marks the spot. That's where you find the treasure, isn't it? Oh, and what do we call Christmas? Oh, we call it Xmas. Oh, that's right. Yeah, we call it Xmas. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, right? A whole world of people who call me X. You see how that's magic. That is used to attack me. So, I've got it. People have used so much magic against me that it makes me hard. It makes my life. It makes it so hard for me to deal with, to exist with all this stuff. Um, And the thing is that people, they don't think about the consequences of what they're doing. They don't care if they're only interested in what they want. They don't care if I live or die. Um, and so, it's the problem with that is that, well, I'm the life support machine. Basically, that's a way of looking at me. I am the life support machine that everyone, the all life on Earth n- needs me. Um, and people would rather not believe that. They would rather think, well, we don't need God. I will call back my own energy, and I will, it's like, well, where did your energy come from? Who gave you, how did you manifest this and how did you manifest that? Um, where does that come from? Well, where it comes from is people saying, I'm God, or behaving like you're God, right? So people, they, they go, they mimic me. Um, think about it. When someone prays, they might say something like, God grant us. Well, my name is Grant. That's an example. But, if someone prays and says, God grant us, or God grant me, what they're basically saying is that they're me. And so my blessings, um, my manifestation power, you know, my power is delivered through words like that. Okay. Um, so, and the thing is that the reason the world really doesn't want to know who I am is because, well, the thing is, if I become known to the world, if the world knows who I am, then a lot of those manifestation spells, they don't work the same way anymore. And so people have, they lose access to what they want to hold on to, basically. I mean, that's probably the most basic way I can explain it, I suppose. Um, this is why the world really battles me and really doesn't want to acknowledge me. And that's why, over the last several years, the world, as this is why there's so many bad things happening. Because I found out who I am. I went from being a guy who was, um, who had alcohol and drug problems, who, was a tech nerd and, um, like playing computer games, and I thought of myself as a quite a average-ish guy, above average intelligence, but, you know, I didn't really see myself as, um, yeah, I mean, I kind of just felt like, the world viewed me as an average guy, and that's basically how I would live my life, just being an average-ish guy. Um, but, yeah, I found out who I am. Yeah. So, let's, what do I want to talk about? What do I want to talk Should I use the Hermes deck? Let me show you something. Whoop. I got this is a Hermes or Hermes tarot deck. It's I paid I don't know, it was £125 for this tarot deck. It's my weirdest tarot deck, I think. Hang on. Yeah, okay. So what do we want to talk about? Okay, so we got King of Pentacles. Whoa. Hang on. You got the Queen of Cups. Or Queen of Hearts. Alright, so the King of Diamonds and Queen of Hearts. Yeah. The Tower. Well, number 16, yeah. The Tower. Two of Cups. Or Two of Hearts. King of Hearts. King of Cups. King of Wands. King of Clubs. Seven of Spades. Seven of Swords. Ace of Spades, Ace of Swords. 17, the Star, and the Emperor, number 4. And then we got 10 of Hearts on the bottom. So what does this say? King of Pentacles, Queen of Cups, the Tower, Two of Cups, King of Cups, King of Wands, Seven of Swords, Ace of Swords, the Star, the Emperor, Two of Pentacles, Two of Diamonds, Queen of Wands, Six of Cups. So the thing is that because people keep doing readings on me, and because they don't acknowledge me, people are doing these readings, and because of tarot cards, because obviously they can be interpreted in lots of different ways. They're designed to hide what people do. It's a way of stealing my energy and redirecting it to other people. So people do readings about me. They do divination, and they take my story and they make it about other people who are doing all kinds of things, sex magic, and people who are screwing around. And it's like, well, that ain't me. I'm God. But people want to believe I'm some filthy prostitute who walks around some red, hanging around on some street corner looking for her next customer. Do you know what I mean? Like, people wouldn't know the difference because of tarot readings that mix my story with other people. Um, and it's it's a problem, obviously. So, King of Pentacles, Queen of Cups, the Tower, Two of Cups, King of Cups, King of Wands, Seven of Swords, Ace of Swords. So this is the thing, people don't want me to be in a relationship because, how do I fight back against a world that is constantly trying to do sex magic and binding magic and death magic against me? how do I um, how do I um, deal with that? Well, the way I deal with that is by having sex, having relationships. So this is this is why, in the, moving into the future, that's how, sex is part of my um, way of, it's about stopping people from trying to attack me with magic. That's what it's about, right? It's about me defending myself from witches and warlocks who are obsessed with trying to steal what is mine. So this is why people are fighting so hard against me to prevent me from succeeding. The last time I had a girlfriend was when I was 24. That's 14 years ago. Yeah, that's a long time ago. And the reason why that all happened is because, um, yeah, I mean, I remember when, that girlfriend, her name was Ania, and she lived with me for 1 year when I was living in Brighton. And I told her to move out. And I remember when she moved out, I remember feeling this very dark feeling, like something really strange happened. Like something very strange happened when she left. Because it felt like, and now that I know about magic and I think back to what happened, how I felt at the time, I kind of feel like, that was the beginning of like an attack. It was the I felt all this dark magic being done against me to attack me. I think that's why I felt the way I did at the time. Um, Perhaps. Anyway, um, and so this is the thing. What are these cards talking about? They're talking about, so it says here, King of Wands, Seven of Swords, Ace of Swords, the Star, the Emperor, Two of Pentacles, Queen of Wands, Six of Cups. So, people are, saying the King of Wands, um, deception. There's this deception of, I'm being talked about, but you're saying, people are saying that, saying the King of Wands is saying that I am, um, there's this Two of Pentacles and there's Queen of Wands and the Six of Cups. So, people are trying to say that I'm someone else. You're trying to say that I'm some dirty whore, basically, like some woman who can't stop screwing around. She has lots of sexual partners, and people are saying, people are trying to say that's me. It's like, no, that ain't me. And this is the problem. Why do people want to mix my story with their story? Well, it's simple, because of it's because of manifestation power. This is why people are so, addicted to artwork and, creating music and movies and all these things, writing books and putting out YouTube videos. Because, so what people are doing is they're constantly pulling on my energy, and they mix it with what they want to mix it with. And then that becomes, that is how they manifest, that's how they draw on my power and try to hold on to it. This is why, and people keep trying to fight me for what is mine. It's not, well, the thing is, people, why, what was Jesus? So Jesus Christ, okay, so I was Jesus Christ, and people, people were told to pray, and, people, ask and ye shall receive, and, knock and the door will open, and, people were given ways of receiving blessings. But the fact is, most of the world is only interested in trying to steal from me and to destroy me at the same time. There's no thanks God for blessing me. It's oh, this belongs to me. Thank you very much. Well, there's no thank you. It's like, no, that's mine. I'll take that. That's mine. It always belonged to me. I'm just calling my power back. That's, people just do, play, this is what the world's like. And so I'm simply battling it the way I have to. I've made so many videos talking about this, and nobody would watch them. Nobody was interested in knowing what I was talking about. How many times did I make 4-hour-long videos that nobody would watch? Yeah. So the thing is that, I mean, it all goes back to the story of Adam and Eve and the serpent in the garden, the forbidden fruit. What was the forbidden fruit? God said, don't eat that or you will surely die. And then, the serpent comes along and he's like, nah, yeah, you'll be all right. Just eat it. Basically. And that's the thing, right? I mean, the world is full of people who would say, yeah, you don't need to follow the Bible, you'll be all right. It's like, well, I'm God, I'm the creator. I created it, and there are all these people who feel it's okay to try to kill me with magic, to attack me with magic. Mm. Um, excuse me. There are always people who think it's okay to attack me with magic and that there won't be any consequences to it. Well, there will be. There will be. There'll be serious consequences. You know, people want to choose to throw away their lives. That's the thing, right? That people were given life. People were given, opportunities to learn, and a lot of people, they don't want to learn. They don't have any gratitude. They don't. They don't like me. They don't love me. They don't care about me. And I live forever. I don't want to live forever surrounded by horrible people. So, I want to be surrounded by people who love me and that I love. Um, and, people have been given their opportunities to do what they need to do. If they, so it's that simple, really. Um, there are people, tarot readers who are obviously talking about me. Um, and they probably, they're basically just saying I'm the devil, or I'm some demon. Um, well, I'm God. I'm here. I'm here for vengeance, right? I'm here for my vengeance. People have treated me incredibly badly, and I have to do what makes me feel better. I have to fix the problems that they've created. So I've got to do what I've got to do. If people want to, if people are going to label me the devil, um, and say, people won't acknowledge that I'm God, and they want to simply just call me the devil or a demon, um, without giving me proper acknowledgement of who I am, then it won't end well for them. Um, it's hilarious for me, because it's like these people, they talk about me and like well, they talk about me, treating me like I'm Satan, and they think, oh, but God will save us from him. Don't worry about it. It's hilarious for me because it's like, well, I am God. I can be God and I can be Satan at the same time. Um, um, people. This is the thing, right? I gave people the opportunity to have a relationship with me, um, and to build that, grow, and people, you need to have patience. You got to have, you have to grow as a person first, in order for what this is the thing, right? Those who I love and those who love me, I will reward people who I feel deserve to be rewarded. um but it's not, you know uh, pe- people have to show that they're worthy. People have to try. um People who think, people who want to try to treat me like I'm some idiot or some type of pushover who will just hand out anything, to anyone who just puts their hand out when they don't deserve it. Well, they'll be very disappointed. Yeah. Anyway, um, yeah. So I'll do one more reading. I'll use a different deck this time. So I got this one. I can't remember what this one's called actually. Okay, so we got the Four of Cups, Page of Swords. What's a Four of Cups, Page of Swords? How do I interpret that? Well, a Four of Cups is someone who's, it's self-serving disinterest. It's, I'm not interested type of energy. And a Page of Swords, well, normally I would look at a Page of Swords and think, well, that's someone who is clueless. That's someone who really doesn't know what they're dealing with. That's my initial impression. How do I approach reading cards? Well, I try to, think of all the possibilities of what the cards mean. I don't just go off my very first thought. I often, I spend a lot of time looking at the cards and I get lots of confirmations. Okay, and we got the Nine of Wands. The High Priestess. Queen of Pentacles. Knight of Pentacles. Ooh. Two of Cups and the Nine of Pentacles. Six of Cups on the bottom. So, what's this? Four of Cups, Page of Swords, Nine of Wands, the High Priestess, Queen of Pentacles, Knight of Pentacles, Two of Cups, Nine of Pentacles, So, to me, what's that really saying is, Four Cups, Page of Swords, they're carrying on with this high priestess, intuition. There's the rich woman and the sex and the Nine of Pentacles. It's people they're constantly just trying. It's all about sex, money, sex, money, sex, money, sex, money, fornicating, and um people who want to sleep around. They're not interested in getting married. They're just interested in one sexual partner after another and building up how much money they've got in their bank accounts. um that is how most people seem to live. um where does God fit into all of this? What about what Jesus Christ told people they're supposed to do? And if you want eternal life, like, what do you want? And what are people doing? Obviously people aren't doing what they were told to do. And on top of that, well, obviously we got all this divination, and people using these cards, and they don't acknowledge me, and they try to say that I'm other people at the same time who are doing sex magic, death magic, binding magic to try to keep me trapped. And they talk shit about me all day long, um, and they don't care about the consequences of their actions. I see a world full of people who are sinful, they're evil, they're irresponsible. I mean, if someone's irresponsible, would you trust them with something? Like, you don't. Do you know what I mean? Like, if someone can't prove that they're responsible enough to handle something, then you wouldn't let them handle that thing, would you? It's like, you know what I mean? Like, let's get some more cards. And the other thing is obviously that there's this patriarchy versus matriarchy thing, and um, you know, the world is very against me and is very, wants to, they want to worship Mary. They want to worship, the one who was called the Virgin Mary. They want a goddess. That's what they want. They want a goddess. They don't want God. They want a goddess. They want to worship the woman. I mean, this is the thing as well, because obviously my mom, who gave birth to this body of mine in 1987. Her name was Fiona Salvin. Okay, her name was Fee, and I'm male. So in some sense, I am female. I mean, we're even at the point now where the Church of England is saying, yeah, maybe God is a woman. That's that's the Church of England. That's what the Church of England have said. They want to say that, yeah, maybe God isn't a man, maybe he's a woman. That's how that is how crazy the situation is. Okay? And obviously, I'm not happy about that. I know there's that picture of me on Facebook of me in drag. I wear the blue dress and I've got the blonde wig on. That was a picture of me when I was 16 years old. One of the girls was who was dressed as a policewoman. She was on the right hand side of me in the picture. That was Ashlyn Humphreys. That was the girl who I lost. Oh well, she was the first. She was my first. She was the first woman. She was the first person I had sex with. Basically, um, I lost my virginity to her, right? And the other girl, Melissa, was the girl who I was friends with, and she's the one who hooked me up with Ashton Humphreys. Um, they went to Rodine School in Brighton, very expensive boarding school. It's a girls boarding school. Okay, so we got the we got the Two of Wands here. Um, Nine of Pentacles, Two of Wands. You know, what does the Two of Wands mean? People say, well, it means planning. It means, basically, it means planning. But, and the title of it in the Thoth deck is Dominion, which is, it's an interesting, like, what does all this mean? And, it's a sex magic card. It's, you can interpret it as anal sex. Um, and then we got the Seven of Swords, and then we got the Ten of Wands. So, people do sex magic. The Seven of Swords. So, it's a sneaky deception, betrayal, futility, something like that. And then we've got the Ten of Wands. And obviously, the Ten of Wands, well, that's the thing. I mean, Ten of Wands, what does it mean? Oh, it's extreme exhaustion, it's oppression. But, that's the thing. If you've ever, if I did a tarot reading for, let's say, a porn film, for a porn star, well, this is the thing. The Ten of Wands is, it's also a way of saying hardcore sex. So, this is why, because people do these things, and people are attacking me with magic. And I've been here and I've been warning people for years, and people don't want to listen. They mock me, they laugh at me, they don't care. And it will end very, very badly. What people think they can get away with what they're doing. They won't. And we got the Four of Pentacles. So the Four of Pentacles is, is being possessive. I can, it's holding on to material possessions, but it can also be bondage as well. So, maybe think, like dungeon, sex dungeon, sort of thing. That type of behavior. But, yeah, what did I want to say? I mean, this is the thing, because if I was in the position, if I was a rich guy and people acknowledged who I am and I had a sex life, then these problems, they kind of go away from me, because because people, people, when they're stupid, their sex magic that they do, and they're holding on to things and being possessive and all this stuff. That's the thing. If I'm in a position where those things don't matter anymore, then they don't matter anymore. But people are trying to prevent me. People are trying to keep me trapped where I am, so that they can continue attacking me. And the problem with that is that the world will be completely ruined as a result of what people are doing. So, without if people don't if people choose to never acknowledge me, if people just choose to leave to keep attacking me with sex magic, death magic, binding magic, then the result of that will be um, a lot of destruction, and people will have to deal that people will have to well, everyone will be affected by that. I mean, if World War III were to happen, or the economy fell apart, and or the government became very tyrannical, or you know there's a or disease is another one. Okay, people not being able to afford their food, people losing their jobs, um, people fighting, violence, civil unrest. These are all the types of things that can happen as a result of people ignoring me. So the sooner that people acknowledge me, and the sooner that people put me where I'm supposed to be, the better for me and the better for everyone. Um, but the problem is that people are, there are a lot of people who they have evil spirits. Okay, they are of an evil spirit. They don't want to see me succeed. They're opposed to me, um, and they don't want to acknowledge me. So I have to get acknowledgement, and what I need. Well, that would be the best way moving forward. People acknowledge me, and that problem gets resolved bit by bit. So yeah. Now, what am I going to do? Well, so I do need to take some time away. I need to clean my house. I need to focus on myself more, because I've not given myself um, much attention. I haven't, I haven't dealt with a lot of problems that I've got. So I've got a long list of things I need to do. I need to, I mean, obviously, I can still post on Facebook. I can still make videos, but I will have to restrict how much time I do that. Probably for the next couple of months, the next 2 or 3 months, I guess. Um, Something like that. Maybe longer, maybe shorter. I don't know, but I will have to. I have things that I really need to deal with. I really have to sort out. Um, I might start another YouTube channel or something like that. I might start a fresh channel, and try to make videos that are, maybe a bit more professional looking, or, sort of make a channel that is more geared toward getting subscribers, but, focus, a channel that's more focused on getting people's attention. Um, but obviously, I have to think about that. I have to try to figure that out. Like, what would I do, and what would I want to say, and that sort of a thing. Um, but yeah, I'll think about it. Um, so yeah, I think I've said basically all I wanted to say, but maybe I just so the thing is that what is it, to have a relationship with God, with me, right? I mean, obviously, you have to be able to set things aside. You have to be able to say, okay, you know It's, there's these things that I like, that I desire, but maybe I could put those away for a while, put them away and give my relationship with God a chance, and see, people, it's you know at the end of the day, how are you going to be happy? You want to be happy in the future, right? So how do you get there? Do you know what I mean? It's, well, but that's the problem, is that there are lots of people who've been told, and people should be aware of what they were supposed to do. um and people, they go after their own desires. um and, well, the thing is, well, people mimic me as well. They copy me, they mimic me, and um they try to pretend that they are me. I mean, imagine waking up. Imagine, um, you were living in a world and you looked around the world and everyone was trying to be you. And then when you tried being you, people rejected you. People said, "You're not you, I'm you." How insane that is. It's it's total insanity. I mean, I live in a world I don't really want to live in. I'm being honest. That this world, I don't really, I hate my life is horrible. Um, and I don't want my life to be horrible anymore. People, that's the thing. I'm God. People are supposed to put me first. People are supposed to treat me as if I'm number one, because I am number one I'm number one in the most important category. Okay, there's only one person who's in that category, and that's me, because there's only one God. I'm the creator of the universe. Um I can't change that. I created the universe, and the thing is that people, there are so many people that wish they were God. They wish that they were me. They wish that the fact that I'm God, they don't like it. They wish that wasn't the case, but it is the case. That's how it is. I have to make the rules. I have to tell people, like, okay, you have to do things in certain ways, and there are reasons for these things. It's not just about me trying to make your life horrible or make you feel like you don't deserve something, or there are lots of reasons, good reasons why things have to go a certain way. Um, and the thing is that I'm God. Um, I Why should I have to? I've tried so hard to build relationships with people. I've tried so hard, and how people have treated me so badly. I mean, what more can I do for people? I mean, the fact is, if I cause chaos and destruction, if I cause a plane to fall out of the sky and it kills hundreds of people, or I start a war and it kills 1 million people, um, would you say that's wrong of me? Um, would you say? I mean, this is the thing. The world wants to battle with me, and they attack me. They hated me first, so and I have to protect myself. And when I protect myself, the consequences, You know, the things that can happen as a result of me protecting myself can be really devastating. It can look really bad. Um, it can cause a lot of chaos and destruction, and it's and the thing is that obviously I want the world to do things. I want peace. I want love. I don't want war. I don't want to be at war with everybody all the time. But how do I get people to stop from battling with me? People need to know that I'm powerful and that battling with me it's a bad decision. And I've been trying to point that out to people for a long time now. So I'm trying my best. I'm trying as hard as I can to get the problem resolved. And you can either help me, which I would like, um, or yeah, that's the option. You can choose to go one way or the other. You can choose to go against me, or you can choose to help me. You can choose to be on my side. Okay. Um, and we can work together. Um, did I say it in this video? I can't remember if I said it or not. Did I? But yeah, the idea, Saint Paul, right? So Saint Paul, people think, wow, he did a lot. He really did a lot. So, um, but then, the same, and this is the thing, right? Because in my biological family, there are other biblical people who've come back. So, there's Abraham and King David and Sarah, but they hate me. They have been doing all kinds of horrible magic against me. And they are only interested in seeing that I'm destroyed. And they've caused me a lot of problems. Um, these people, they don't claim that they're God, but they behave as if they're God. They behave as if there's no one above them. And they don't love me. They don't acknowledge me. And because of them, all kinds of crazy, horrible things are happening, with sex trafficking and Freemasons and people doing, all kinds of terrible things that they shouldn't be doing. And I'm God. I'm supposed to fix these problems. And then I tell people I'm God, and they tell me that I have a God complex. When actually it's them. If you can't acknowledge me being God, then you're the one with the God complex. That's really how it is. Obviously I give people the opportunity to figure out who I am. And I'm trying to show who I am. I give people the opportunity to figure out who I am, but I've been spied on by so many people for years and years and years, and they wouldn't believe a single word I say. And they hate me. And they wish the worst on me. And they copy me as well. They try to replicate what I do. Very nasty people. You need to understand that the people who were closest to me, so people in my biological family, they were um, targeted by evil spirits. They were targeted with temptation, right? They were tempted to go against me for their own personal gain, for power, and that's why things are the way that they are. They simply can't. They have given themselves over to evil, and they don't care about me. They don't care. And what do I have to do? Well, I have to get rid of all the bad apples, don't I? That's what I've got to do. I've got to, the harvest has to take place, right? So, you should know what that means. So, I'm simply getting there one step at a time. And people have to make their choices. What do you want to do? Yeah. Anyways, that's enough for this video. Yeah. So I'll end it here.